and welcome to episode 117 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers, all about scale models. And this episode is being brought to you through the generous support of Jeremy Reese. Jeremy has decided to become one of our Patreon supporters, and you too can help support the show by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from $1 per month upwards. Your support of the show is greatly appreciated and just helps us with all our production and hosting costs. Established in 2016, the Scale Modeler Supply has developed a comprehensive range of premium acrylic lacquer paints designed specifically with the scale modeler in mind. Certified Australian made, SMS paints are tough and durable with a fast drying time that have been designed to use straight from the bottle, taking all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake and spray. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, aircraft, cars, train, science fiction or gunpla. SMS premium acrylic lacquer paints will have a colour to suit you. SMS products are available through a trusted network of stores across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, the US, and are also now available for the first time in the UK through From Model Centre. Check the SMS website at www.scalemodeler.com.au to find your closest stockist. These paints are on my bench and I use them all the time, so I know that you will not be disappointed. And hello and welcome to the show, and this show is being done remotely, care of COVID. So, gents, from the remote side of the world, Julian, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. It sounds like I'm quite awake this morning. I'm not sure why that is, because I got less sleep than I normally do.
Well, I pushed this back half an hour to give you guys a sleep in, so I would have thought you'd be very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed by now.
No, I think I got like 4 hours sleep last night.
Ian, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Dave. And how are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, busy with work as usual, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yep.
Still sort of struggling to... Man, I'm going to just let loose. I am sick and tired of these lockdowns. This is lockdown number 5 for us, and
yep.
it's just dragging on and on and on. And I've had enough. There you go. I don't normally talk about stuff outside of modelling on this show, but I'm making an exception. I am over it. Well and truly.
I don't think it's over for a while, Dave.
Yeah, look, I don't mind being locked down, but what I mind is not being able to, you know, see my family and see my mates, sort of, you know, and all that sort of stuff. That's what bugs me about it.
Yep.
And you know, I'm fully vaccinated now, and I'm just going to have a crack at our government where they haven't sort of provided enough vaccines so everybody can get vaccinated quickly enough. But anyway, I'm going to step back off my soapbox now before I get into trouble and say things I'm going to regret. But anywho, let's move on with better and wonderful things.
But don't you mispronounce things every episode, so you regret those anyway? Or do you not have any shame for that?
I've got no shame. I don't care. Before you sort of dive in too deep as to what you guys have been up to, I'm just going to put a shout out for all our listeners in Germany, Belgium, and around that area that have been impacted by those really severe floods. Amazing footage that came through to us during the week, and thoughts and prayers go out to you. And across the strait into Britain and Ireland and Scotland, where they struggled through a heat wave of 31 degrees Celsius.
Well, for them, that is a major heat wave.
31's just a walk in the park,
it's a pretty
man.
wild summer's day.
It is. Oh, so they've been struggling. Of course, we still know that our Canadian friends and parts of North America are also going through some intense heat wave and some major fires, I think, still up in Canada as well. So,
oh, geez, they're all copping it.
Yeah, so fingers crossed for everybody up there. All right, let's get on to really some pleasant stuff. What have you guys been up to? Let's start with you, Julian.
So I've been meaning to paint the Hurricane, but I still haven't. So instead, what I just, it's mostly because like I can't be bothered going outside into the cold weather. And it's not even that cold, right, by international standards. So I've just been staying inside and working on these little 70-second scale armor kits that I bought, which is from Tacker.
How are they turning out?
Yeah, they're doing very well. Very nice fit, very nice detail. I can imagine, I can see some people who are normally used to, like this is their scale. I can see how they would not be too happy with this level of detail, though.
Why is that?
It's almost too much for this scale.
Oh, right.
Does that mean that they're complicated to build, or it's just the level of detail is?
They've just downsized their 35th scale kits. So if you can imagine, like all the parts and details and part breakdowns for like you can actually see, for example, that they've got like separate bits for the parts for the vision periscopes.
Yep, the vision blocks. Yep.
Yeah, the vision blocks. But you look at it and you think, well, why would they separate that? It doesn't need to be separated. And it's because it used to be a clear part on the 35th scale one, but on the 72nd scale one, they just do it in grey.
Right. But still an enjoyable build nonetheless.
You do kind of worry about the fit of, say, all the suspension legs. Because you sort of think, well, I don't want to get those misaligned. It's going to be harder to line them up in this scale than it would be in 35th. But all the fit is there. It's actually really tight fit to get them into their socket, and they're all keyed so that they all sit at the right angle.
Well, that's a plus then.
Yeah. So I mean, it works out, but going into it, you think, well, how's this going to work? Seems a bit of a risk. But like with all risks, if you've got the sufficient engineering to pull it off.
Yeah, exactly right. Have you decided on a paint scheme yet? What you're going to do for painting?
No, I've mostly been concentrating on the FV432, which looks like a British version of an M113.
Yep.
And I'm not too sure. I mean, there's the cool looking black on green scheme that's on the cover of the box, and you look at the instructions and the schemes, and it's basically like an unknown scheme, there's not enough data on it, so you sort of look at it and go, I wonder if that's a real scheme or not. It literally just says unknown unit.
Wow.
Unknown unit in an unknown place, I suppose.
Yeah, they're usually the ones to try and avoid those schemes.
Yeah.
if you're into the accuracy.
Ian, what have you been up to?
Actually cracked open the airbrush the other week and started painting the Copper State Models Autocar Canadian World War I machine gun carriage.
Oh, very cool. How's that coming along?
Oh, it's getting there. Yeah, did all my woodwork and steel framing for the floor, and then put a couple of coats of chipping fluid over it. Painted it the special mix of green I made up because it's a very unusual green. It's a moss green. And so then did the old scrubbing method and wore it back to bare wood again in certain areas. And so this afternoon I'll be doing some bits and pieces painting and giving it a clear coat ready for a wash before doing the major assemblies.
Terrific. Any new purchases?
Yeah, just a few.
You can't just say just a few and just walk away from the microphone.
Just a few. All right, what do I get? I did a little bit of a B&A order. So I got myself the new Mini Art German agricultural tractor, the D8500.
Yep.
Which is a Lands Bulldog.
Yep.
And it's really funky with steel wheels and all that. Looks really good. Be a great weathering subject. ICM their new Ford Model T armoured car.
Yep.
A couple of Mung kits. I got the Whippet and the A7V. And I picked up the new Mini Art Austin armoured car in British service, which is a amazing kit. I think it's my first Mini Art kit I bought, and I am so impressed.
Yeah, the way you had the microphone just before was absolutely superb. So if you can,
that means I'll be standing up holding it over my head all day.
No, just pick it up like you had it in your hand. Rest it on your chest.
Yeah. All right. If you say so.
Well, we're going to think about the audience and the quality of the audio for them to make listening a pleasant experience. Julian, you had any new purchases?
I did put in a purchase from. I'm always at a loss as to how to pronounce his name. Anis, the brand and modeler who I believe he's in Europe. ANYZ, and he does a lot of very interesting little 3D printed options for detailing up cockpits and things. He has like a line of decals that are just sheets of lines of various widths, and you can get them in black, red, yellow, etc. The yellow one can be really good if you want to do the candy cane black and yellow striping in on the bang seats.
Oh yeah, yep.
But he recently brought out one of those in chrome, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll jump on that. Chrome sounds good. And what he's done is he's used it for all sorts of things, like the oleo on aircraft suspension, for the what do you call those things? Hose clamps.
Yep.
They're pretty like universally interesting to use for lots of different things, especially for detailing up engines and things like that. I think they've got a lot of use. Should be fun.
You'll have to send me a link. You have to send me a link so I can have a look at the stuff.
Oh, I almost died from the shipping. As soon as I saw the shipping amount, I was like, I'm gonna have to multiply what my purchase by like 4. Because I was originally going to get the chrome, and then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to throw a whole bunch of things in there, and because it'll be maybe a year before I buy from this guy again, because of COVID, the shipping has to go through UPS.
Yeah, okay.
Something like $43 in shipping.
Man, is that Aussie or is that euros?
No, it's Aussie.
Okay.
I think yeah. And yeah, it was a lot, and
especially just for the decal sheets, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, it should be flat, right? So, although I'm not sure how much different it would be if I ordered something else. In any case, yeah, that was interesting. I mean, if I was so busy sort of spinning out and trying to get my order through that if I'd had any sort of forethought, I would have bought more stuff for other people.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I only noticed it after I actually hit the send it through buy button, and I was like, oh, I should have asked Dave and Ian.
Yes, you should have.
I know, but my brain wasn't engaging.
Oh, that's all right, mate. No worries. Maybe Ian and I will go and look and do something as a couple. Well, that didn't come out right, did it?
Or did it?
Ed's keeping very quiet. Anyway, let's move on. All right. I had in the mail arriving this week was my Tamiya F4 Phantom B model, the new one that everybody's been raving about. So really excited about getting that. Then went straight over to Furball Aero Design, which is a decal company based out of the US, and purchased a whole heap of decals for the kit because I want to do something different to what it comes with. And finally, at last, the AFV Club Aussie version M113 has arrived in country. So I pulled the trigger and purchased 2 of them as well. So they're currently in the post and should be arriving Monday or Tuesday. And, of course, we can't also go any further without mentioning the fact that the Musaru Cup model has arrived. Now, it's a Gundam of some description. I'm going to try and struggle. I'm going to try and remember what type of Gundam it is. Yeah, some sort of Gundam thing. And it's big and it's red, and I've got to do something with it to make it look cool. So, going through lots of iterations and sleepless nights, thinking about what I can do to make this different and sort of stand out. So, I think I may have settled on a scheme, which I'll just keep my powder dry on that one. But, yeah, we'll have to see how that works out.
So the Gundam you got, I believe, is because you sent me a photo of it.
Yes, I did.
Was this Zaku 2?
That's it, yes.
Is it high grade? It's the 144 scale one.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's, look, I'm really looking forward to it and excited about it, but I just got no idea sort of where to start, and it's just, well, I guess it's sort of figuring out what sort of scheme I'm going to do, but I just don't want to do the sort of boring sort of schemes that you see them already done in, so I want to do something different.
You want to be a bit more creative with it.
Well, yeah. And, the rules of competition is I can, do out of the box, or I can add whatever I want to it, or do whatever I want to it. So that's what I'm trying to sort of do. I did toss around the idea perhaps doing it in Luftwaffe colours, but that's been done to death. So I think I'll skirt that idea and try to figure out something different. Anywho.
Yeah, the Zaku specifically gets done in the German guys all the time.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, because this one that you received, the box art for it is red, which means it's sort of like a special one.
Yeah.
But the sort of rank and file version of it, which you can also see in the background of the box art.
Yep.
Is that it's normally in green.
Okay.
And one of the other versions, like the way they've done the head, is it looks a lot like a German helmet.
Right.
Which is why they always do that.
All right. Well, I'll think of so. I've got until March anyway, so I've got a bit of time up my sleeve. I've got 9 months to sort of figure out what I'm going to do and build it, and then photograph it and send it off. So, anyway, who knows? All right, let's have a look at some listener mail. How's that sound, guys?
Sure.
Yep.
Excellent. And the first one will be from Glyn Adams from the UK, and Glyn writes in, "Hi guys, who filters their paint, and if so, how do you do it, or how would you do it? A long-time avid listener." Do you guys do filters on your paint work?
Is he talking about the technique of using a filter to change the tonality?
Yes.
Of the paint?
Yep.
Oh, I thought the way you phrased it earlier, I thought he was talking about, passing his paint through a filter, so to make sure that there's no solids getting into the airbrush.
Oh, well, I certainly don't do that. I haven't got the time or the patience, and most of the paints I use, I've never had any issue with sort of, large clumps sort of blocking it.
Yeah, I don't think that's really an issue.
Yeah.
I've heard of one person sort of exploring that sort of thing, and I don't think it amounted to anything. I think it was sort of generally like everyone who sort of piled in and gave an opinion was of the opinion of why, it's not really necessary.
Yeah.
But as for the actual technique for filtering, Ian does that quite a bit with his airbrush, doesn't he?
Ian's really got that down pat.
Yeah. Where
filtering.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
I either use
thing.
Dot filtering method with oil paints.
Yeah, but you also used to do the thing where you tint your clear coats, right?
Yeah, and the other one is, tint your clear coat. Find the most predominant colour on your aircraft on the upper surface colour and put a couple of drops in your clear coat and spray it over the top for your final finish. Blends everything together.
Yeah, I've done it. You sort of got to be careful that you don't overdo it, which is what I did the first time I did it.
As I said,
I mean,
only a couple of drops.
Yeah, because it's you start spraying and you're like, oh, I'm not seeing anything, and then you spray some more, and then you're like, oh, now I see it. It's all starting to look the same color.
What I do, I do something similar, except I'll get paint and I'll thin it down to about. And this is what I did in my last armor build. When I was doing that World War One tank, the colours were very stark and garish, and I wanted just to sort of tone them right down. So I applied Ian's method, where you look at the most overall colour. I think this case it was like a tan or something similar, and I thinned that down to about 10 or even 5% consistency. So it's about 5% paint to thinner, and just sprayed it, one coat over it, and walked away, and came back 5 minutes later, because I use acrylic, so it dries really quick. Gave it another spray and just kept going and going and going until I could see it was knocking down the heaviness of the colours, and sort of at the same time also blending them as well. So it's really effective. And something I'm going to do again in the future for sure.
Yep.
All right, well, I hope that answers your question. Let's move on to the next one. It comes from Neil. Got no idea where Neil comes from, so g'day, Neil. He's writing about a good customer service experience with LP models. He says, hi, guys. I have been in a mojo less funk for the last couple of months and haven't got much or anything done. But recently that all changed when I spied a little Tamiya 1/12 scale Monkey 125, which is a motorbike, which is on special at a local white goods store. Happily at the bench again with you guys droning on in the background and keeping the mojo going. Oh, well, okay. I would have considered ourselves droning.
Yeah. We put a lot of effort into this podcast.
Neil,
I'll wake up early and everything.
Yeah, exactly right. You disturbed your beauty sleep. Neil continues on. Just thought I'd give you a shameless plug to a wonderful experience I had with LP models over in the Czech Republic. They do an amazing array of aircraft, resin accessories in various scales, and were the only manufacturers sellers that I could find with a 1/72nd scale F-15 boarding ladder that I needed for a final touch on the project, as I didn't have a distributor over here in Japan. So Neil comes from Japan. I contacted them directly and received a prompt response from Leo, and not only did he send me the part ordered, but he felt guilty about charging me more for shipping than the items, so he threw in 2 other modern jet boarding ladders. It's a bit of a surprise. Well, there you go. That's what I call customer service, guys. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's customer service.
Yeah.
You don't see it often enough.
No, you don't. Thanks very much, Neil, for that. It's really good to hear that. Quinton Fascetto writes in, hello, everyone. Been listening for a few months now. Shortly after getting back into the hobby after a decade or so of a long hiatus. Hearing that old hobby shop I used to go to was closing down for good in December, I decided to go for one last time along the drive and realised, hold up, I have a job and patience now. Maybe I can actually build something well. And here we are, absolutely enjoying the show, which I use on my drives to and from work. And they serve to boost my motivation on working on modelling subjects from time to time. I do have a question for you all, though. Any tips on vacuum form models? As a Canadian, I'd like to build some planes that our forces historically used, especially the ones built here in Canada. But sadly, some of the more interesting ones I've only been able to find in vacuum form. Is there a special method to go about it, or should I just ditch the idea and cross my fingers that someone will do an injection mold one day? Thanks in advance, Quinton.
I've never built a vac form kit, ever. They scare me.
Well, I'm afraid of them, but if they scare you, I'm definitely even more afraid of them now.
I've talked to people who have, and they've often, you have to, listen to these things with a grain of salt, but they say that, it's not such a big deal. You just do this and that, and it's not so bad. I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
The surface detail of some of those old vac form kits is really, really poor.
Yeah. If service detail is important to you, that's not the realm to go to. I'm of the opinion that you should just wait it out and that you'll get what you need in time.
Or you can go ahead and have a crack at it and just build it as a 3-foot model.
Yeah. Or try something that's not going to be super expensive and give that a go first.
Yeah, that's the other thing with costs, isn't it, with vac form models?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're short run and very specialised, they tend to be a tad expensive at times.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if you have any kind of experience with CAD, you might want to design and 3D print your own. Maybe. I don't know. It's a big if, but like people do it. Like that's where we get all these 3D printed sci-fi models from nowadays. There's a lot of them out there.
Oh, good luck with that, mate, and I hope it works out. If you do decide to have a crack at a vac form model, let us know how you go.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
I'll be interested to hear it.
I want to. Next one comes from Bob Blair. Bob writes in, "Hi, guys. Another great podcast. I enjoyed Robert Madden joining in on the fun. It was good stuff. Take it from someone who lives in NASCAR country. I'm just a few miles from Charlotte Motor Speedway. 90% of the teams are based in North Carolina. The cars with the wings and nose are Dodge Daytona Charger, made from Charger, and a Plymouth Superbird is made from a Roadrunner, both with the high wings and nose shape, yet they are a bit different. The Dodge was much more aero efficient at 0.31 versus 0.29 in drag coefficients." That's cheers from Bob Blair in North Carolina. And I'm doing it in that voice because he's and
I love those winged birds.
Sorry, I'm adding a bit of oomph to my pronunciation because Bob does as a job. He's actually a voiceover dude. So there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Okay. Here we go. Had a great time this week. I actually caught up with a guy called Jason who runs a YouTube channel called Aussie Scale Modeler. And Aussie Scale Modeler YouTube channel is just an Aussie guy who just promotes Australian models, the Australian hobby, and Australian supplies. And he's really sort of doing a lot of work to just promote it locally throughout Australia, and he's doing a great job. I was on his most recent show, so if you want to see what I look like in real life and get an understanding of why I prefer to do podcasts, go and have a look at the last episode, which is episode 11. He's nearing 1,000 subscribers, and once he hits the 1,000 subscriber mark, he's going to be doing a giveaway of a F111, the Hobby Boss F111, so that'll be really cool. So just pop over to YouTube, put in Aussie Scale Modeler, and have a look and a listen to what Jason is doing. Next one is Brian Wall from Beacon Models has dropped us a line, which is interesting because we're going to be talking about 1/4 scale models and smaller models later on in the show. He's got an update from Will and himself at Beacon. The Kickstarter that they had going didn't make its funding target, but they're still ploughing on and have just gone live with their website for pre-orders of the kits. They've partnered with a toolmaker who's based in the UK, which means their initial costs and target are now lower, so the amount of interest we had from the Kickstarter should easily make our new lower target with the pre-order system. All the options that were available on the Kickstarter will also still be available as pre-orders, including the bonus items. So just head to beacon-models.com and check it out now. And all I can say to everybody is if you have any interest in Battle of Britain subject, pop over and have a look at beacon-models.com and check out what they're trying to do in 1/144 scale. We've got to try and support and help these new modelers grow, or model producers, because it's in the end it means more variety for us as modelers. And they're both a couple of great lads as well.
Yeah, their Battle of Britain sort of almost like a diorama set is looking really cool.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's basically, like it's got a whole bunch of staff, and then a little, what do you call it? Little HQ building or whatever it is.
What croissant hut or really something like that?
Croissant hut. It's very much like if you ever watched like the Battle of Britain.
I'm pulling a Dave here. I've got no idea how to pronounce it, but I know it begins with a Q.
Quonset.
There you go.
Or Quonset or Quonset, I think it is.
Yeah.
It sounds wrong when you say it. Maybe that's just you.
What do you mean it sounds wrong when I say it? The heck are you talking about?
I know. I'm just so used to you mispronouncing things that even when you pronounce things correctly, it sounds wrong.
Ye of little faith.
That's right. I have no faith.
All right, guys. I think it's a really great time to take a break, and we'll be back with modelling news. So we'll be back shortly. Whether you build aircraft, armour, ships, science fiction, cars or figures, the Fine Scale Modeller magazine provides the how-to information you need to take your modelling to the next level. In each issue of Fine Scale Modeller, you'll find clear how-to features on model assembly and finishing written by experts, reviews of the hottest model kits and products, tips and techniques for assembling, painting and finishing, as well as inspiring photos of readers' models. To find out how you can get your copy of Fine Scale Modeller, go to www.finescale.com. And welcome back to the show. And I was remiss in mentioning that if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so via email. Just send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com, or just pop over to our website and have a look at what's happening over there. Feel free to drop your comments and your latest works, and we're always happy to have a chat with people on Facebook as well. All right, well, it's new in the modelling world. Let's have a look at news from Trumpeter. They got 4 new releases for July 2021. The first one is in 1/72nd scale, a M1120 high mobility tactical truck, which is known as a material carrying system. Basically, it's a big US sort of truck. And
it's the Hammett.
Yes, it is. Good point. And this one comes with a container on the back, cargo container.
Yeah, it looks like a 20-foot container.
So they'll make up some nice modelling experiences. Comes with vinyl wheels, which I hate vinyl tyres. That and vinyl tracks, the bane of my life, but never mind. Yeah, should be pretty cool. Over 100 parts, which is quite a lot for a 1/72nd scale kit. The next one is, I find particularly interesting. It's in 1/35th scale, and it's a P40/1S12 long track S-band search radar.
That's a cool looking vehicle.
Yeah, it is. It was codenamed Long Orbit by NATO, and it's a 3-coordinate radar in the UHF band developed during the Soviet Union era. The P40 radar began to be developed in 1960 and completed the national acceptance test in 62 and finally entered service in 63. You can build this kit with the radar either stowed on top of the vehicle, and the vehicle looks like something you'd see in Antarctica, just to give you a bit of an idea of what it looks like.
A tracked truck.
Yeah,
it's basically like a lengthened tank chassis with like a truck cab and a giant photo etch radar dish type thing on top.
Although there is photo etch with it, but part of the radar makeup is also in styrene as well. So that's be interesting.
People have been waiting for this kit for a long time because there was a resin kit where the entire radar dish thing was made out of photo etch, and it really looked the part. And you had to start off with, I think, like a regular, like T70. No, you had to start off with Trumpeter's tractor version of the kit, and then they gave you an extra 4 wheels to lengthen it and all the sort of, body work. And then, had all the photo etch that you had to then bend and rig up into this giant radar dish. Very interesting.
Comes with 4 color options, and the kit also has decals, and of course you've got masks for the windows, which is a really cool idea. And of course you got photo etch with it as well. The tracks are individual link, so there is a total of over 880 parts.
Oh,
Which will make for a really interesting kit. It looks super hot when it's built.
does look pretty cool.
Next one in 1/35th scale is an L4500A armoured vehicle equipped with a 3.7 centimetre flak 37 anti-aircraft gun used by the Germans in World War II. Mercedes-Benz L4500 is a heavy-duty truck by Mercedes-Benz. It was built by Daimler-Benz from 1939 to 44 and from 44 to 45 by Sura. The vehicle is a long bonnet truck and was offered as a rear-wheel drive as well as an all-wheel drive truck. It's a bit different. I haven't seen something like this for fans of World War II German and Army stuff, so this should really appeal to people, I think.
Yeah, it looks with the armoured cab makes it look a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like the kind of thing I would have expected Dragon to release.
All right, yep.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So I think you can see it's coming from Trumpeter. Total number of sprues are 15. Total number of parts 400. And you get hollow rubber wheels or tyres, I should say. And also some photo etch parts are also included. The shipbuilders are not left out. In 1/350 scale, we have the British Royal Navy light cruiser Colombo, which was launched in 1918, and she worked in the Far Eastern Fleet and was reassigned to those waters of the United States and the West Indies from 32 to 35, where she returned to the Eastern Fleet. Wow, this is a nice looking kit. So for those
It does look nice. I like the colours on it, and the scheme looks good from the side.
It does indeed. She went on to see service in the Royal Navy's Home Fleet and also participated in the pursuit of the German battle cruisers Scharnhorst and the Gneisenau. And she returned to Britain for repairs and saw out the war and was finally sold off in January 1948, dismantled in Newport Shipyard in 48. So total number of sprues 8. The model length is 398 millimeters with a beam of 38 millimeters. Over 300 parts. Hull is made from 2-directional slide molds. Deck is wood pattern and contains display stand and a limited amount of photo etch. There you go, guys.
Yeah, it don't look too bad.
Yeah, don't look too bad at all. Rightio, the Falcon has written in. Here we go. I should get a drum roll or something for him, shouldn't I? All right. Hello, Dave, Ian, and Julian. Another fairly quiet couple of weeks in the new kit news, but here's what I could dig up. Aircraft. AFV Club will be releasing a 1/35th scale Air Cavalry Brigade AH-1W Super Cobra NTS update. The plastic is from Academy, but the bits needed to change it from the standard AH-1W provided by AFV Club. I'm pretty sure the helicopter guys will be pretty excited about that. ICM are about to release a 1/48 scale BQM-34A drone, or perhaps more correctly drones, as there will be 2 in the box. Also in the box are 2 underwing pylons from which to suspend drones. The pylons are meant to go under the wings of a B-26 Invader. That's interesting. In an amazing coincidence, ICM also make the 1/48 scale kit of the B-26.
Yes.
So it's most likely they want you to buy one of those as well. The long-awaited Airfix 1/48 scale de Havilland Chipmunk is finally shipping. Look out for that one in your local model shop in the next few weeks or months. Wouldn't it be terrific if Airfix sent you guys one to review?
Yeah, it's unlikely, isn't it? But to be honest, it's unlikely for anyone because they have such poor community outreach.
Yeah, but they've got their own internal channels for their community outreach. They've got like the Airfix Club still runs and all that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah, okay.
well, it does. It does. Anywho, Edward are releasing their all-new 148 scale Sop with Camel. The first boxing will be a dual combo limited edition. You get quite a lot on the box, in the box. The plastic for 2 complete kits, 2 types of resin wheels, steel photo etched seat belts, look instrument panels, resin photo etched Vickers machine guns, and resin Rotherham air pumps. But that's not all. You also get a set of paint marks, an extensive decal sheet with markings for 10 different aircraft types, 2 of which are for camels flown by Biggles. You may remember when it was first announced, Edward claimed their new camel would be the most detailed World War I aircraft kit in any scale. There's a very big claim in a world where wingnut wings kits existed and still exist. Edward do very good work, so you can't totally discount their claims. Anyways, time will tell. That's very interesting. Moving on to military vehicles. Without fanfare, Tamiya announced their 100th kit in their line of 148 scale military miniatures. And this is going to be the self-propelled heavy anti-tank gun Nashorn. It is said that nobody seemed very excited, but I guess as a German World War II subject, it is a pretty safe choice of subject. At the same time, Tamiya announced a 48 scale set of Wehrmacht infantry figures. There are 10 figures in the set, most of which are new. I think 3 of them are existing figures in the Tamiya catalogue. There was quite a bit of discussion about this, the 100th kit in their 148 scale line. And much like what the Falcon has said, I saw a lot of sort of people saying, a Nashorn, really? For the 100th one?
Yeah, but it's only the 100th kit within 48 scale is nothing really. It's not like it's their 100th kid, period. Right? Because you know how Tamiya like to slap numbers on their boxes, like their serial numbers for each kit,
yeah,
like a number issue.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a milestone for that.
Yeah. Still with Tamiya, they have announced a 135th scale British SAS Commando car 1944 with 2 figures. This is one of Tamiya's co-productions with Italeri. The Jeep is Italeri's commando car, and the figures are sourced from Tamiya's own Churchill Crocodile. You also get parts from Tamiya's Allied accessory set. So all in all, not too much to get excited about, says the Falcon. ICM are releasing a 35th scale Mercedes Type G4 Partisanwagen with armament. Basically, it's a 6-wheel Mercedes staff car previously released by ICM with extra machine guns.
Right.
Copper State models have shown CAD renders of the latest subject they are working on, which is a Renault Type 1914 armoured car in 135th scale, of course. There you go, Ian, another one.
Oh, I've got a list once we finished of what they'll be releasing between 2021 and 2022. So once you finish with that, I'll read that out.
No worries. Special Hobby as Special Armour, or under the Special Armour banner, will be releasing a 172nd scale kit of the German 3.7 centimetre pack anti-tank gun. And Dragon Models are re-releasing their 135th scale Tiger 1 kits. Tiger 1 initial 502nd Battalion Leningrad 1942-43 with their Magic Tracks. A Tiger 1 in mid-production Otto Carius 1944 Battle of Malinava, thank you, with Magic Tracks. A Tiger 1 OS FE early production, the Battle of Kharkov with Magic Tracks. And these kits are all fine kits. No doubt there is plenty of competition nowadays for Tiger 1, and any significant lower price point than Dragon usually sell at, will anyone buy these kits? What's a Magic Tracks? Is that just Lincoln length, or is it?
Well, Magic Tracks.
The ones that are already taken off the sprues and supposedly cleaned up for you, so you just got to glue them together.
Oh, okay. Right.
Individual links, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Julian, you're going to say something? I heard it squeak.
Well, yeah. Well, they sell. Well, they're tiger kits, and they'll sell.
Yeah, true.
It's
We'll see. Zvezda's latest 135th Sherman kit, the M4A376, seems very close to release. They have shown a built-up test shot, the box and decal sheets. Apparently, two marking options. One is for the US Army and one is for the Free French, both Northwest Europe. People are hoping that Zvezda have fixed some of the problems that were seen on the earlier M4A275, on which the new kit is based. And the Falcon is saying, I'm betting that they haven't. Voyager models are getting into 3D printed track world in a big way. They will soon be offering a 35th scale tracks for Tiger, Panther, Panzer 38T, Cromwell, Crusader, Matilda II, and 6 types for the M3/M4 medium tanks. Oh.
I think 3D printing for, like, if you think of the way that they do the resin 3D printing, I imagine it's really time efficient to do it that way. Because, like, I mean, you don't have to worry about like opening and closing molds, so you don't have to worry about molds wearing out. You just have to keep printing them off, and they always come out once you've got it all down, it all comes out the same quality. And as long as the height of what you're printing isn't very high, it's a really fast print, right?
Well, I've had some Voyager kits and some of their aftermarket stuff, and their quality is extremely good. So I'll be interesting to see how they go with these particular.
I've used a fair few of their products, and I've always been quite impressed with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Some shipping news. Good news for IGN fans this week. Fine Molds have announced a new tool, 1/350 scale kit of the IJN destroyer Uchiel. And Fine Molds are also re-releasing their kits of the Anemia and the Amagri, both 1/350 scale IGN destroyers.
So that's Ayanami and Amagiri.
That's what I said.
No, you didn't. That's great.
All right, and just rounding out, Yamashita Hobby. I've never heard of them before.
Hey, it must be a new bunch.
Well, it can't be because they're re-releasing their 1/700 scale kit of the...
No, will be releasing, not re-releasing.
Will be releasing. Beg your pardon. A 1/700 scale kit of the IGN destroyer Tachibana.
The Tachibana.
Yeah. See, I've got that pronunciation right.
I believe it's Takibana.
All right. Okay.
Well, that's that different. It's but as long as we're on like a correcting streak, we may as well stick with it.
You might as well. All right, that's it from the Falcon, and thanks again to the Falcon for writing in. Much appreciated. Ian, what did you have for us?
Okay, I got a little list here from what Copper State Models, because I've been getting right into their armoured cars and what their plan for release with 2021 to 22 is. So we all know that the Russo Bolt armoured car has been released, or is just about to be released, which I'm looking forward to. They'll be also releasing the Italian 1ZM armoured car, but as a German Panzer Spar wagon during World War II. So it's basically just the Italian armoured car, but with bigger wheels, more modern wheels, and German markings and German armament. After that, they'll be releasing the Garford Patilov armoured truck, which is a big Russian armoured truck, which looks really cool.
Yep.
Like Mad Max at the turn of the century. Cool.
Oh, awesome.
Then they'll be releasing a German Earhart armoured truck, which is basically the German version of it. Looks slightly different. After that, which is one I'm really looking forward to, is a Krupp Schumann armoured mobile gun model 1899. It's a horse-drawn armoured car.
Oh.
Does it come with horses?
Yeah. Exactly. So I was thinking poor horses. Then they'll be releasing the Italian armoured car, the 1Z again, but with twin turrets rather than the big single turret. There's two more releases which they haven't put down what they are. So there's going to be 2 more. After that, they've got a very interesting one, a King's US Marine Corps armoured car, which is the most sportiest one I've ever seen. And then they'll be releasing the Fiat Tourney Tripoli armoured car. So there's a fair few armoured cars coming out from Copper State models in the future.
Yeah.
And for the 72 scale lovers, they'll be releasing the 1ZM Italian car and the Lanchester in 72 scale as well in the future.
Wow. I'll tell you what, these kits must be extremely popular because Copper State models are really jumping on top of this and pumping them out left, right and centre. So
yeah,
there must be a huge market out there and pent-up desire for them.
They're unusual, and people like unusual subjects.
Yeah, very true.
So of the of those, the ones that interest me are the Tripoli armored car.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting looking. Everything
it's nice and round, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very cylindrical and conical sort of shaped. It's
and some of the turret patterns too, with the red and white checkers and so forth, look quite stunning.
Yes, it very much looks like an Art Deco tiled floor. The other one that I took note of was the Putilov. So
the Garfield Putilov, yeah.
So I used to play Battlefield 1, which is the Battlefield game that was set in World War One.
Oh, that was a good game, that one. Even I played that.
Yeah, that was a good game. And in it, there is the Putilov that came out with when they brought out all the Russian stuff, Russian front stuff. Yeah. Very, very, very weird car.
Yeah.
It's like I believe it has like machine guns in the front, but if you want to fire the main cannon, which is on a turret, it can only fire in a very narrow arc from the rear.
Yes.
Really strange thing. And it's really, really tall too.
Yep.
Really, really tall. Like it sits quite high off the ground. It's like this big, wooden spoked thing, but it's ridiculously tall. I don't imagine it'd be too stable to ride around on.
Well,
it looks top heavy,
It was an interesting period of armour and armoured car because they're going through all these weird and wonderful designs trying to sort of find their way. And as Ian sort of pointed out, it's so weird that's what makes them interesting.
Yep. Yeah, like the Krupp Sherman. It's just really weird. Yeah. Horse-drawn armoured car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm looking at a photo of the Putilov, and it's got a particularly short man standing next to it. The wheel comes up past his waistline, and the vehicle itself is like twice his height.
Yep. Yeah, they're huge, aren't they?
Yes, they're both big, and he's really short. It's not helped by the fact that there's a particularly tall guy standing next to him.
Very true.
Wonderful. All right, you guys get any more news in regards to what's happening in the world of plastic?
No, that was it for me.
Very good.
Oh, by the way, Ian, with the Putilov, there's a very distinctive scheme. It's a very popular scheme for it, and it's got a skull and crossbones on the side.
Yeah, I was looking at the photo of that before.
Yeah, so it'll be right up your alley. I'm almost certain that they will put that in the boxing because it's one of the most well-known schemes for it.
Yeah, totally agree.
There you go. All right, wonderful. Now, if you want to listen to other podcasts or find out where they are, you can do so by going to modelpodcast.com. It's got a listing of all the other great shows that are on talking about our wonderful hobby. So just drop in there and check out all the other guys. And pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, shall we have
It's becoming a large group.
We are. In fact, a couple of guys are sort of pushing me to have a Zoom meeting, which I will organise, and we'll get together and have a bit of a yak and share a beer.
Yep.
Sounds like a lot of fun. All right, our main subject for today, we're going to be having a bit of a chat about the minor scales. When I say minor scales, so the midget scales, can I say midget scales? Dwarf scales?
I don't think you're characterizing them any better, to be honest. You really
Dave scale.
Well, some of Dave scale, I guess. So we're talking about 1/700 scale, 1/144 scale, and 1/1200 scale kits, which is sort of it's an interesting segment of the market, and I guess from a starting point, anything when I was growing up, of course, as a kid, it was 176 and above. That was what you always aimed for. Anything else sort of below that scale was, looked down upon. But how things have changed in the modelling world in in the last 10 or 12, last 2 or 3 decades, I should say. Particularly 1/700 scale, it's really the realm of shipbuilders, and that particular scale kicked off in Japan so that guys could build ships and have quite large collections in areas where they were challenged in their ability to store and also display them. Hence the reason why 700 scale was so popular in the shipbuilding side of things.
Yeah, I'm toying along with the idea of going back to that scale for ships because, 1/350, like there are just some ships that just get too big. But on the other hand, like if you want to do one of the smaller ships, you end up with like these tiny little matchbox size things. So I don't know. You can't. It's really hard to be pleased as a if you're into ships.
Well, the thing about the 1/700 scale in particular for the ships is that you get a larger range of more obscure ships available to you than you do in the larger 1/350, 1/200, even 1/72 scale.
So correct, yeah.
And you get our good mate Callum, who just builds sort of Australian subjects. He can build everything from the dawn of Federation in Australia right up to the latest modern ship with no dramas. But I'm struggling in 1/350 scale to find 2 or 3 ships that sort of I can build in the Royal Australian Navy.
And like when he builds ships, he builds like 3 or 4 at a time.
Yeah, he gets a production line sort of system up and running. Yeah.
Amazing to see. Absolutely amazing to see.
And I think too, 1/700 scale ships lend themselves better to dioramas where you can have them posed in water. Because again,
Dave's dreaded waterline.
Because of their small size, it's a lot more sort of easy to do. And I'm thinking of one of my gods in ship modelling, Costas. He does some amazing ship dioramas in water in using the 1/700 scale, which is just absolutely amazing. So, yeah, but 1/700 scale is sort of purely limited to ships. I can't think of anything else. Any other sort of genres like aircraft or armor or anything like that is in that scale? Can you guys?
Not really.
I find the odd sci-fi stuff in that scale.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a size that's meant to really dwarf things down, and you won't find that unless it's something significantly large.
Yeah.
And even then, with a lot of sci-fi subjects, it's just not enough. You have to get to like 1200 scale and beyond.
Only because the subjects are so huge.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I mean, there were like I'm not sure if you've ever seen them, but there are like nice YouTube videos where they compare the scale of all these different ships in sci-fi.
Yes, exactly.
And by the time you get to the end of it, you've got the sun of our solar system looking like a marble sitting on a basketball, because that's how big like the structures get.
Yeah.
So I think like one of the last ones is the Dyson sphere, which is supposed to be like a big cage that you've built around a sun to harness all of its energy. Getting pretty ridiculous at that point.
Yeah, true.
Some of the pros and cons of building ships in 1/700 scale obviously are
you can buy more.
You can buy more. That's one of the pros, I guess. One of the issues is obviously you're dealing with smaller scales, so you need more steady hands and a better set of eyes as well.
And more photo etch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I mean, like you need to almost, like the amount of stuff you need to replace with photo etch is ridiculous. You almost, like in cases in 1350 where you could go, maybe I'll use the plastic version for this part. None, there's none of that. You have to replace everything with photo etch almost.
Yeah, especially when you start dealing with like the Flyhawk kits. Their 700 scale ships, they're just, some of their 700 scale ships put the 1350 scale stuff to shame.
But having said that, there's a lot of aftermarket 3D printed stuff that's available for 1700 scale ships that is absolutely exquisite. And it saves you all of the heartache and issues in replicating some like anti-aircraft or even main armaments in that scale. Just go and buy it flat out from a secondary producer, and it's just great.
Yep, I agree. It's you know, in some ways it can really pull you in. You start looking at some of those photo etch sets and it makes you want to buy some, but then, you know, you need a point of reference. And as soon as you put like a finger or a matchstick next to it, you're like, oh, that's really small. I'm not going to deal with that.
Yeah. I think 1700 scale lends itself really well for the larger size ships like aircraft carriers and that, because then you can sort of whip them out pretty quick and you can have a lot of them on display. And they do look quite imposing even in 1700 scale.
I wonder like how much 3D printing will have an effect. I mean, I already know that 3D printing make great replacement stuff for 1350, but for 1700, I wonder if it might still be like too chunky.
No, I've had I've had a look at some of the 1700 stuff and it looks quite good. I'd definitely pull the trigger and buy aftermarket stuff in 1700 scale. For sure. Yeah,
you would want to, like, I mean, because like it's like watching Ian make little Earlicons and other gun type things in 1350 is hard enough. I don't need that level of headache for 1700.
I mean, just wait till I start me Yorktown one day. That's got about 70 of them.
The one 1700 scale ship I did build, the Lexington, had a line of Earlicons up on the smokestack, and they were just little photo etch cardboard cutouts, basically.
Yeah, they look too flat.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Not that you can see them. I mean, they basically look like, you know, cat whiskers at that size.
1/44 scale.
I reckon started exactly the same way that they would have started 1700.
I think where this first came into fashion, that particular scale, was for the airline guys, the guys who build airliners.
Yeah.
And that's where it first really sort of found a home, I believe. And, you know, it to build a 747, for example, and then have the ability to build it quickly, build a reasonable sort of model kit, and then also display it in such a way that it doesn't take up a huge amount of room. 1/144th is almost the only way to go.
It's more desktop size.
Oh, that's a great term, Ian. Desktop size. And it's becoming more and more popular now. As I said, Beacon Models, who are pushing out their 1/144th scale Battle of Britain set. We're seeing a lot more fighters now and modern aircraft in what you traditionally see in 1/72nd or 1/48 scale, and now sort of coming down to 1/144th scale. And you can make some decent models out of them. It certainly lends itself to dioramas as well, like if you're doing a scene of a airbase or something like that, for example.
Yes. Yeah, it's a much more forgiving scale for that sort of thing.
It'd be also good for if you wanted to try out a bit of force perspective.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I never considered that. Yeah.
I've seen it done. I've seen people do the thing where they want to depict a line of aircraft in flight in formation flying, and the one that's furthest away from the camera is in 144th.
Yeah.
And then you got like a 172nd in front of it.
It's not bad. You could do wonderful things like you could have 4 or 5 B-17s flying in formation, and then you have like a 172nd scale ME-109 sort of, stalking them closer to the camera for that forced perspective look. That'd look pretty...
Exactly, yeah.
That'd look pretty darn good. 144th scale also lends itself to science fiction. We can't forget that genre as well. And as we spoke about earlier on, because of the large subject sizes, you'd almost say that 144th scale is sort of the entry level for large ships, such as, I'm getting in the mail.
We get a few submarines in 144.
Oh, thanks, Ian. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, good pickup.
Is that the sort of like midget submarines and stuff? No? I don't know enough. Sorry.
No. It would be larger scale ones.
Yeah.
Like full-size submarines.
Yeah, I knew the mistake I'd made as soon as I opened my mouth, because I remember seeing like a friend of ours, Peter's midget submarine, and there was actually like figures standing next to it. It was in 35th scale, I think it was.
Mm.
Yeah.
And of course, still on the subject with aircraft in 144th scale, that's also a scale that's used for wargaming as well. Hence, perhaps the reason we've seen quite an explosion in 144th scale aircraft, World War II and post-World War II as well. So, yeah, it's a really interesting sort of side of things. And I admit I've got quite a few 144th scale large aircraft in my stash, which I'm going to get around to building one day.
I think I have one.
I've got B-47, B-52, a B-2. Yeah, I've got quite a few.
It's called Dave Scale for a reason.
I've got the old Airfix Heracles.
Oh, have you? What scale was that in? Was that in 144?
144 scale.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, well.
The old Heracles airliner.
Oh,
I do own an airliner kit. I'll build it one. As I say with most of my collection, I'll build it one day.
Yeah. As I was saying earlier on, also the 144 scale, it's creeping into the science fiction side of stuff. So I've got coming across from the US a model of the 2001 spaceship, which is in 144 scale. And even that's a huge model.
The big long one.
Yeah.
But you'll never be able to do it.
Why not?
Can't do that, Dave. Sorry, Dave. I can't do that, Dave.
What are you doing, Dave? It sounds creepy when you whisper into the microphone my name like that. What else?
But back on the 144 scale thing. So when you really compare like the size of a 144 scale B-52 to a Spitfire, it really sort of
sinks
it really mirrors the sort of disparity in size between, say, like a 1-700 carrier and like a small like tugboat or something like that, or whatever the smaller ship classes are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It really sort of brings home the size of things when you sort of got two subjects of the same size next to each other like that. And 144th scale for aircraft lends itself quite well to comparing the smaller aircraft to the larger aircraft.
Yeah, true.
So then what's small scale in armor? Is it 72nd scale?
Oh, no. There's one that is smaller than that, and it's mainly used for wargaming, but I can't think of the scale off the top of my head. It'll come to me.
Oh, it's not 176, is it?
No.
Oh, 156, is it?
It might
that'd be bigger.
Yeah, 156.
Is it big? Yeah, you're right. No, smaller. No, I still think it's 172nd.
Do you?
Yeah, because I mean it's the most. You have to think about it in terms of like, what's commonly accepted.
Yeah, true.
Small scale, and it has to be 70-second scale.
Yeah, I agree with Julian on that one.
Because, like, I mean, you also have to take into account that, like, the average scale, which is 35th scale, is like as an actual like division of size, it's quite large.
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah, and the 172nd, I think they originally came from around the 176, which was the Hornby Railway size, wasn't it? They were made to fit the.
It's starting to get into like scale modeling archaeology at this point. You have to like climb through the archives and find the history of things and.
Yep.
But I mean, like, since I've been building a lot of 72nd scale armor lately, it's an interesting space that is getting some love from the manufacturers. There's quite a few offerings in that scale now,
and for what you can see too, some of the stuff's in pretty good quality too, isn't it?
Yeah, and in fact, it's almost like I said, it's almost at a point where people might actually take issue with how detailed they are.
Yeah, too much.
Because people who deal in 72nd scale armor are not looking for like really hyper realistic depictions of those subjects.
Yep.
They kind of want a matchbox car sized thing to stick on their shelf, but it's a tank.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, here's the thing for you. So I've had a quick look for bolt action, which is quite a popular wargaming side of things. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that scale, the correct scale is about 156
for wargaming.
So, well, there's 28 millimeter scale, which represents approximately 1.8 meters. So that equates to a 1/64th scale.
Mm-hmm.
And so 32nd would be 156 scale.
Right.
Which are, let me think now, are they bigger or smaller than 1/72nd? The number goes up. Let me think now. I threw my head in a Saturday morning. Come on.
I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah, well, 156 is bigger than 1/72nd. So there you go. 1/64th scale, which is 28 millimeters, is also bigger than 1/72nd.
Right.
I think you could get away with using 1/72nd for wargaming anyway.
I think at that scale, you're not really going to notice.
Yeah. Good points. Have we spoken?
Yeah,
go on.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm having fun with this scale, and it's certainly being supported by the likes of TACM, but also like IBG. IBG bring out all of their stuff in 72nd before they bring it out in 35th.
All right.
Yeah, and like these are both modern companies that will do all their design work in CAD. Obviously, armor can be lent to CAD quite well because they're often flat-sided looking things.
Mm-hmm.
Very angular shapes. You don't have to worry so much about getting the curvature of a nose right like you can with planes.
Yep.
Less shape issues, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they're easy to measure up. Like you literally just walk up to them and run a tape measure from one end to another, right? You can't really do that with planes.
No, that's right.
So I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying these ones. I'm still hoping I'm gluing things on straight. It comes with a whole bunch of photo etch, these kids too, so we'll see how that goes. I've got to build up like a cage, like a basket, like a steel basket that goes on top of it. I'm not sure what it's for, but it might just be something for stowage. But either way, it'll be interesting when I get to that. The other one that comes with this pack is a Chieftain, so we'll see how that one goes too. I know it's got photo etch skirts, which is a bit more than I would have bargained for, but I'm sure they had their reasons. The smallest kit I've seen in 72nd scale armor was this tiny little, I think it was like a little Panzer I or something like that. It's made by Flyhawk, I think. And right. Like this thing is literally like 2.5 centimeters long or something, maybe just 2. it's really, really, really tiny.
Well, they do a Renault FT17 in 70-second.
Yeah,
Yes.
but are we calling?
That'd be tiny.
But are we classifying 1/72nd scale as a miniature dwarf scale?
Yes, yeah, I think we should.
I disagree. I don't think so. I'm going to
Okay.
take the
Do
other.
you want me to? I'll give you my reasoning for why I think it is. So generally, there's like a small, medium, and large for every given scale.
Yep.
Right. So for aircraft, large is 32nd, medium is 48th, 72nd is somewhat small, and then you've got like 144 beyond that. With ships, it's 1/700 for the smallest scale. I mean, there is like 1200 beyond that. But then you got like the medium scale is 1/350, and then large one is 1/200.
And 1/72nd.
Yeah. Okay.
But you don't get many ships in 1/72nd scale.
Yeah, that's fringe kind of stuff. I mean, like you got to draw the line between like the mainstream, medium, small, large scales, and then you got like the fringe scales, right? And then with armor, now it's very popular to bring things out in. Is it 1/16th? I think it's 1/16th.
Yeah, 1/16.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you get the light tanks and that.
Yeah, and people often make the argument that there needs to be like a 1/24 or the 1/25 scale for armor.
So match the car market.
And not really. Some people think that 1/35 is a bit too small
Oh, right.
to be the medium scale.
Mm-hmm.
And then 72nd is the small scale.
See, I would argue that 1/72nd scale is the benchmark scale. That's the waterline. And then anything above it and below it, anything above it is large scale. And anything below it is small scale.
Across all genres,
Yeah.
I think you have to put each genre in its own like box. You can't really cross over between them. You can bridge them to some degree, but
yes, I do agree.
You can't put.
Yeah, so with ships, for example, I'd say 1/350 is the benchmark, and anything above that is large, and anything below that is small. Aircraft and armor, I'd say 1/72nd scale would be the benchmark scale, and anything above it is large, and everything below is miniature. Science fiction, oh gee, that's a tough one.
I want to see someone make a scale model of a Dyson sphere. That's going to be great. Like 1 to like 3 million scale.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. Well,
someone will do it now, Julian.
Yeah. Well, they just bring out like a ping pong ball. It's like there's your kit.
Hey, just cut it in half and put a little marble in the middle.
Can we dive down deep? We still haven't really touched on the 1200 stuff yet.
Yes, we can. Yeah, sure.
So 1200 scale is again mainly for ships, both space and terrestrial.
Yep.
1200 scale was originally used to make lead models of ships for identification, recognition, and also playing war games, and still continues this day as the war gaming scale. Although in recent times, there's also another competing scale at that level, which is the 1/1250 scale of ships, which are mainly, you'll find these in specialist sort of areas, and they're mainly for cruise ships, ocean liners, warships as well, and sort of pre-built and pre-painted, in which you can go and purchase them. All those scales obviously in waterline, which means that you can't sort of have the full hull. But again, 1200 scale is for ships, is also known as a wargaming scale, right from the polyonics up to modern sort of wargaming styles. For your science fiction stuff, 1200 comes in to be quite popular, particularly when you're building large ships such as the, let me think now, USS Enterprise out of Star Trek. Yep. Some of the Star Wars larger ships sneak along into that scale, bounce along around there. I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe there are also some from the Battlestar universe, Battlestar Galactica universe, that are perhaps reproduced in that scale as well, such as the big Battlestars themselves. It's just that scale, because of the size of the subject, you've got to really shrink it down. And you don't necessarily lose a detail that you would expect to lose. I mean, I'm having a look at some pictures here online of...
You know what? I've got a very interesting story to, well, at least sort of interesting. When I was in my very first year of school in prep, our art teacher brought in a whole bunch of these sci-fi scale models that her brother used to make. And it was like a cardboard box filled with like what I'm guessing is models he didn't really care that much about or built in a fairly sturdy fashion, because it looks like they were just sort of thrown into this cardboard box. It's not like how anyone would normally store scale models, but yeah, they were fairly large. They were like, like a meter long sized spaceship models from the various sci-fi things of the era. You know, this was like
scratch built or kits? Or you
I think they might have been scratch built, because these things were like quite large, and it was like 1989, I think it was.
Yep.
1989, 1990, I think it was.
Yep.
I don't know why that stuck in my, you know, how I generally things from that era don't really that's sort of not things you really remember too easily. But I can remember that. Yep. I didn't even have much of an interest in scale models at the time. Yeah, it was that period where you're a kid and like everything's interesting and amazing to you, you know?
Yeah.
You know, the teacher's brought in something that's not like regular like classwork. Okay, that's interesting. That's cool. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing is, it was in that era where every spaceship was white, you know? Like it's like Star Destroyers and things from other like sci-fi series, you know, or everything from 2001 and Space Odyssey, everything's white, you know?
Yes. That we do.
Some of the random things you come across when you're sort of just looking on Google, and I've just found the Society of Miniature Ship Collectors.
Right.
Where they talk about the history of, you know, 1/1200 scale and 1/1250 scale ships and the history of it all, and they're all avid collectors and stand around together and talk about how great their scale ships are. And they've listing about 14 different manufacturers or places you can buy them from. Wow, it's a huge little sort of subculture there.
You know, I was just thinking, do you know how generally speaking, like a lot of the scale models started off in relatively small scales and then got larger over time?
Yeah.
Except for ships, right? Because the old ship in a bottle is actually a fairly large scale, right?
Well, yes and no. I reckon it's probably touching about it's either
1/44 scale, right? Roughly.
Yeah, give or take. I think you design it to fit the bottle rather than anything else.
Oh, of course. But I mean, like the ships were smaller back then, so that they could scale them larger, and the appropriate scale they were sizing them to was the size of a bottle.
Yeah. Very true.
I'm just trying to figure out where your point is, Julian.
Yeah, like I'm all over the place right now. I'm just like thinking of all kinds of. You know what else you often see in very small scales. You know how like they'll do those models of the big railway guns that the Germans used to make.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those come in fairly small scales as well, don't they?
I think the Dora you can get in 1/144 scale, and the Leopold. I'm pretty sure Hasegawa made that in 1/72 scale.
Yeah, I mean, you can get them in 1/35th, but those are ridiculous.
Oh, the Dora in 1/35th. Where would you put it?
Yeah.
Thing's massive.
Yeah.
That's one of the smaller ones, is it not?
The Dora, that's the big one. That's one they had they had to use 2 sets of railway lines.
Yeah. Right. That's that one. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a Dora. Yeah, that one's ridiculous. I have seen it built up.
Yes.
Now, you remember they used to have it up at Metro Hobbies.
Yeah.
Someone had built it and put it in a gigantic fish tank sized display case.
Yeah, I remember that. It was. Hey, look at it, you think it looks great, but where would you put it?
And so I reckon that's a great point for us just to close off the conversation there. So, Julian or Ian, who wants to go first to the sign off?
You can go first.
Go on, Ian. You go first, mate.
All right. It's goodbye from me because photo etch is your friend.
I thought you were going to retract your photo etch is your friend thing.
No, because
maybe
I've got one of our listeners, a good bloke by the name of Mark Box, is now a bit of a convert of photo etch. So good on you, Mark. Keep it up.
Well, it's like anything. You build enough of it, you get good at it. Yeah, try the new 70-second scale armor. I'm having fun with it. That's there's my sign off thing. Or as close to it.
Well, you know, Kentucky Dave will probably be jumping up for joy about this because he's an avid 1/72nd scale builder, so he's going to sort of welcome you over to the dark side, I dare say, as a fellow comrade and builder in that scale.
Yeah, but there's not enough good kits, good kits in 70-second scale for me to bring me all the way across.
Oh, that's
I'll have to disappoint him.
That's fighting words.
No, it isn't.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for listening. Hopefully, we will be back in the studio next fortnight. In the meantime, everybody stay safe, stay out of floodwaters, stay out of fires, keep well hydrated, and keep building models. See you later. Bye.